Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. I'm really looking forward to this discussion all about plateaus. This is a question I get so often. So looking forward to sharing some of the research with you so that we can just feel more empowered, more informed in terms of just navigating our weight loss journey. So I would love it if you can just drop in the comments, what is your current fitness struggle? I love seeing that as we go through so I can get a better idea of, where are you at? I'm seeing some ladies in the chat saying that they have had a long break, myself as well, coming off of an injury. And so this is a great place for us to get started. And a lot of the things that we'll be talking about today will be super helpful, whether you're starting now or whether you're finding yourself kind of stuck in that plateau situation. So that's awesome. Let's set our intention for being here today. We know that the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah has not been asked for anything more beloved to him than being asked for Afiya, this concept of total wellness in this life and the next. So, let's set our intention that Allah allow this time that we're spending together to be a means of improving our health, because we know that our bodies and our health is an Amanah for us to protect, inshallah. Just a quick reminder for anyone who's jumping in and after we have this discussion today feeling like, okay, I'm super empowered, I want to go do a workout, you can definitely try one of my free workouts at amanahfitness.com/free. So I would love to share that with you, and definitely do check that out after we're done here, inshallah. So let's jump into our discussion today. What is a plateau? That's why we're here. We always want to define what it is specifically that we're talking about so that we can really think about how we can start making steps towards improving the situation. So a plateau, to define it, is during a weight loss effort or program, basically a person's weight stays the same despite dietary changes and exercise. So this is where we hear the common thing, I'm doing everything right. I'm exercising, I'm eating healthy, I'm making these changes, but I still haven't seen progress. I haven't seen results. And so that is where we get to that concept of plateauing. So one of the reasons why this becomes such a common issue is because when we think about weight loss, oftentimes we think that, okay, I'm gonna make it to the start line, and once I got motivated to start making changes, it's gonna be straight and smooth from there. So we often have this expectation that, once we start exercising and eating healthy, we're just gonna steadily start losing weight, and then boom, we'll be at our ideal weight. But in reality, most weight loss journeys have their ups and downs and their fluctuations, and definitely most weight loss journeys have those periods of stagnation where we find that you're in that plateau period. And plateaus are not completely bad, right? At a certain point, we do want to be at a healthy weight, and we want to maintain that healthy weight, which is plateauing, right? We want to get to a healthy weight for our body and be able to maintain that beautiful healthy weight. So definitely thinking about the fact that a weight loss journey has these natural fluctuations is something that's important to keep in mind. My weight loss journey definitely had those fluctuations. It's not always clear downhill. You do have those times where you're up and down, and it's still part of that, kind of downward progression for many of the reasons why we'll talk about today, that I want to kind of really encourage you guys to kind of keep working through so we can keep that momentum and stay consistent in our weight loss efforts. So some things to consider in this discussion for plateauing, right? So some things to think about when we're getting really stressed out and saying that, oh my goodness, I'm in a plateau. The average person typically puts on 1 to 2 pounds a year from early adulthood through middle age. So we do see that there's this staged gaining of weight that most people experience as they get older. And we also see this concept of calorie creep. We're definitely going to come back to this concept of calorie creep, so keep it in mind, which is a slow, steady, incremental increasing of consumption over the years. So this is a case that when we're looking at, an average person, average family, average woman, as they're getting older, we notice that we start eating a little bit more as the decades go by. If you think about it, when we're eating a certain amount, we kind of get used to that level of calorie consumption and eating at that certain level. And, sometimes we just start eating a little bit more, and then we start getting used to that level. And then we kind of stay at that, and then we kind of get used to eating a little bit more. So that calorie creep that happens is definitely a progression that we see. So that's something also to keep in mind when we're thinking about plateaus, that we see this increase in calories consumed as people get older. And we also see that there is a typical increase in weight as people get older. So instantly, you should be thinking, is there a correlation there? We also know that we are living a lifestyle that is becoming more and more sedentary, right? 61% of Americans said that they gained weight during the pandemic. So as we are, becoming more technologically dependent, more and more people working from home, obviously so many more of us are becoming sedentary. And so that contributes to that decrease in exercise levels, which of course leads to progressive weight gain. And also consider the fact that our bodies get stronger as we exercise. So we need to make sure that we're having exercise progression in our workout plan to make sure that our workouts remain effective for our bodies as we keep going. So those are some things to consider as we're beginning this discussion of plateaus. So the questions that we need to ask are, number one, are we really experiencing a weight loss plateau? And how do we measure our progress to understand what's really happening in our bodies? Number two, have we changed anything in our weight loss plan, maybe without realizing it, that might be affecting our results, right? Like when we say, oh, it's not working anymore. Has something changed in our lifestyle that is affecting our results that we want to be aware of? Number three, do we need to make any changes to your plan, or do we just need to keep going to give your body time to see the results? So that's where we'll talk about timeline and how to stay motivated with that long-term timeline. And number four, what changes can we make to accelerate progress on our weight loss journey? So those are questions that we're going to ask and we're going to answer today, inshallah. So the reality is that many cases of the weight loss plateau are actually not a plateau at all. In fact, most of the cases that I have seen in my clients is a case of unmeasured progress, lack of compliance, a little bit of impatience, or some ineffective or unrealistic programming. So this is what I want to address first, our first major discussion in where we want to figure out, are you really experiencing a plateau? Or are there some things that we can do to get you back on track so we can start seeing that momentum? So that's this first major discussion we're going to have together, okay? So before you jump to say, I'm experiencing weight loss plateau, it's not working, I'm not able to lose weight, before we jump to that, I want to make sure that everyone here tries these 4 steps first. So we're going to go through 4 things to make sure before we jump to say, things aren't working for me. All right, so that's what we're jumping in now. The first aspect that we have to have as part of this discussion is that we got to make sure that we are measuring our progress effectively. We're measuring our progress properly. And ladies, in my Amanah Bootcamp, you know that I just keep emphasizing this over and over because the number one biggest mistake that I see when ladies are trying to lose weight is they're only using the scale to track their progress, and this inevitably results in frustration, and that makes people quit. And this drives me absolutely crazy because I can't tell you how many times people quit when they're actually making great progress, but they just haven't realized it. So I have to emphasize this over and over. So the way we want to measure our progress in our weight loss journey is tracking your progress over time, how your body measures, feels, and functions. Now, typically, a lot of times we say looks, feels, and functions, but I actually want to change that to say measures, feels, and functions, because I think that that's a better way to make sure that we're looking at objective criteria for our body and we're removing some of that superficial aspects that can often really be part of a fitness journey. So how your body measures, feels, and functions. So in terms of how we are measuring your body, definitely BMI is one of the areas that most people will look at, right? So we look at your weight and how does that compare with your height? And all right, we get a bit of a standardized criteria that how does your weight match with your height and is that at a healthy level? And that has kind of created this drive to jump on the scale, know what your number is on the scale. But the problem is that today, so many of us are so hyper-focused on the scale that we have completely ignored the other ways that we actually should be prioritizing measuring our bodies and only focusing on the scale. And that can lead to some really, really big problems. So I also want to introduce you to the concept of waist to height ratio and circumference measurements. All the ladies in my Amina Bootcamp know about these because it is so critical to emphasize these as even more important than using the scale to measure your progress. So when it comes to measuring how it's going, how do you know if you're losing weight? How do you know if you're working towards your health goals? Most of us jump on the scale, right? But the challenge is that the scale cannot tell you changes in your body composition. So the scale cannot tell you whether you have developed lean muscle mass versus losing body fat. Oftentimes the scale doesn't really reflect those changes in body composition because the total mass may not have changed yet. So those fine adjustments that often happen early on in your weight loss journey are not always reflected on a scale. So that's where we have to use these other measurements to get an idea of what's going on inside the body and really understand what's happening better. So the first measure I want to introduce you guys to is the waist to height ratio. So this is something that we do in my Amina Bootcamp to make sure everyone is using these other measurements. And actually research shows that your waist to height ratio is an even better indicator of risk of mortality and health concerns compared to BMI alone. So a lot of times we think that your weight on the scale, it tells you the whole picture, and it doesn't. You know, your waist to height ratio is another amazing measurement that we can use. So what I want everyone to calculate here today is if you take your waist measurement and you compare that to your height. Ideally, we want your waist measurement to be less than 50% of your height. That's a really good, healthy measurement for your waist to be. So if you don't know your waist measurement, make a note to take a tape measure and figure that out after we're done here so that, again, we can get an idea of, is your waist at a healthy range compared to your height? So that's another measurement that we can use. In addition, we can also track changes in our circumference measurements over time. This is the most common thing that I see for ladies in my Amina Bootcamp. I always see changes happening in inches and measurements way before changes in the scale. And this is really, really important because if I were to ask you, what is it that you want out of your weight loss journey? We want our bodies to change and be healthier, right? The number on the scale isn't actually the end goal. We want our bodies to change and be healthier. But when we hyper focus on the scale, sometimes we forget that. So let me give you an example to prove to you that we often see changes in your measurements way before the scale will change. Maybe you don't believe me. Maybe you're like, if it's working, Amina, I should see the scale moving. So this is an example from my Amina Bootcamp home workout program. This is Mehroon's actual measurement sheet that she has been using to chart her progress as she's been following my Amina Bootcamp program. So notice, after her first 2 months on the program, her weight hadn't changed at all. And she was feeling frustrated. She said, Amina, what's going on? I don't know if this is working for me. So let's look at her measurements because in the Amina Bootcamp, we always use your measurements so we can really see what's going on in your body. And look at these amazing changes in her measurements, a total of 31.5 inches lost, including 6.5 inches off her waist and 4.5 inches off her hips. So this is an amazing change happening in her body that she actually wasn't even recognizing was happening because she was so focused on the change in the scale. And then she stayed consistent. She started continuing on those workouts and she actually started seeing weight loss happening in her 4th month. So notice how she dropped inches first, way before the scale changed. And I want to ask you, what if Mehroon quit after her first 30 days and said, it's not working? Imagine that. She wouldn't have seen any of this amazing progress. She wouldn't have even recognized how her body was changing from doing the Amina Bootcamp workouts. So Mehroon is the perfect example, and I see this on so many clients. So I have literally had ladies who are seeing changes in their body measurements, losing inches, will actually tell me, the scale hasn't moved yet. I'm getting frustrated, and so I've stopped exercising. SubhanAllah, imagine how crazy that is, that we're actually seeing big changes, losing inches, seeing progress, but just because the number on the scale hasn't shifted, we get frustrated and quit. And for me as a trainer, that is so frustrating, because we need to really contextualize the scale and make sure that we're using it in conjunction with other measurements like circumference, like your waist to height ratio, to understand a better picture. If your inches are dropping, and often they do first, before the scale is changing, that is amazing signs of progress. That's not a plateau at all. So even if the weight is the same, but your measurements are changing, that's amazing. And we want to keep that progress up. So this is why everyone should be using these other measurements to increase your connection with your body other than the scale, because it tells such a greater picture. So that's why in the Amanah Bootcamp, you ladies know that we take your measurements, we do your waist to height ratio, we use other measurements to get that better picture, so that month to month, you have these measurements to refer to as we're going through the program, so that it's not just about, but the weight hasn't moved yet. So that we can actually dig deep and say, okay, what's happening in the body? Let's look at these other measurements. So that is so important. And I think that it's very empowering to have other things to look at other than just the scale as we're going on your weight loss journey, to keep you motivated and consistent as we're staying in on it, inshallah. The other thing that I really want to emphasize, so we said how your body measures. I also want to look at how your body feels and functions. So specifically with how your body functions, we got to be looking at improvements in your fitness as key indicators of progress on your fitness journey. So that is where using a fitness test is very critical. And this is a new thing that we've introduced into the Amanah Bootcamp this year, to make sure that we have ways to measure your actual fitness progressions too. So I encourage everyone to have a way to measure your fitness improvements, and consider that just as important as changes on the weight scale. So in the bootcamp, what we do is we make sure that we're looking at, these key measures of fitness. So your plank time, your squat hold, endurance runs. These are ways that we can see you actually getting fitter, your cardiovascular strength improvement, your endurance improvement, your abdominal strength improvement, that we want to see that and track that progress over time as well. This is how your body is functioning, and we can see that increase over time. And again, that is just as important, if not more important, than the number on the scale alone. So here's some more examples from ladies in my Amanah Bootcamp program. On the left is Aisha's fitness test tracker that she's been using for the past 2 months on the Amanah Bootcamp. Notice how her legs have gotten so much stronger. She started off with a 45-second squat hold. Now she's at 1:25 minutes. And on the right, you'll see Lisa's fitness test tracker. So she started off with a plank time of only 17 seconds. Now she's at 38 seconds of a plank hold. And her abdominal hover, she started off with just 35 seconds, and now she's at 2 minutes. This is a massive improvement in abdominal strength after just 2 months on the Amanah Bootcamp. So by using the fitness test tracker, you're able to see your body getting stronger every single month, and be able to see that and feel really excited and confident as your body gets stronger and you continue working out. So having this way to see your strength, to see those improvements, is really critical. So I very much encourage everyone, be looking at these measurements. Did your workouts feel easier as you continue to go through them, right? Do you find greater ease of movement? That's a sign that your body is functioning better. So we want to use that as well to understand our progress. And of course, we want to look at how your body feels. How are your daily energy levels? What is your exhaustion like during the day? What is your ease and ability to perform daily tasks once you add exercise into the mix? These are key metrics too. How tired are you throughout the day? How do you feel when you run up the stairs or pick up your kids? These are just as critical ways we want to be looking at our health and body holistically, and really enriching that perspective of the way that we gauge our progress. So I want to just kind of compare what can be an incomplete, demotivating way to measure your progress if we just look at the weight scale alone. And we might think that I'm stuck in a plateau, this isn't working, what's going on? We can often get trapped in that mindset. However, if we make that a much more complete and accurate way to measure your progress over time, that includes how your body measures, feels, and functions, we actually can see changes happening in your body. So here's an example where we see somebody who is staying quite stable with their weight. However, if we look at the measurements that are actually happening here, we see inches lost all across the board. That's amazing. That's your body getting healthier and leaner. And then we look at your daily energy levels. We see somebody here who is actually improving how they're feeling day to day. I see this all the time with ladies in my bootcamp, and we don't emphasize these enough. This is amazing progress, right? And so these are what I want to shift you to focus on instead of just hyper focusing on the scale. When we can look at how your fitness scores are increasing over time, again, that's amazing. That's so beautiful, and it's showing you that you're getting fitter and stronger. And when we focus on this complete, more accurate picture, that's when we can say, hey, I am seeing those exciting changes in my body. It's working, it's happening. I just need to keep it up. So I really, really want everyone here to commit to, let's look at a more complete picture of our health. Can we do that? Inshallah. So Nadia's saying that, that she's really improved in this category. I'm really seeing those improvements in measures of fitness, right? So endurance, she's not getting out of breath as often. She can run for longer. Beautiful. Those are the changes that we want to see. And that's, again, those are just as critical measurements of your health for you to look at before, kind of assuming nothing's working for me, nothing's working. So let's look at a more accurate picture of our health, inshallah. Really, I want to emphasize, stop letting the scale sabotage your efforts. Again, I have seen so many ladies who literally quit their fitness journey, stop working out after a month or 2 months because the scale hasn't changed. And if we were to just look at a more complete picture of your health, you would see that so many amazing changes are happening. So let's focus on those, inshallah. So that's the first step. So 4 steps to know if it's working and if you just need to keep going. First, measure your progress properly. The second thing that I really want to make sure everyone's clear on is we have to check compliance. Compliance means how faithfully, how consistent, how well are we actually following the protocol that we're aiming to follow. So sometimes we start to gradually slip without noticing, or we haven't really been tracking to know what's happening in our bodies or what we're really consuming or what we're actually doing day to day. So this is where I want everyone to get really real with yourself. This is where we want to see, what is your compliance to what you're trying to do here? Oftentimes we'll see that someone's making some changes with their exercise and adding in healthy eating, and then they'll be like, I'm making so many healthy changes, nothing's working yet. Well, let's get real. How often are you exercising? How often are you following your eating protocol? How often are you really making sure that you're making those changes actually and making them really happen in your day-to-day life? The only way to really know what changes you're actually making is to track that progress, right? And so especially when it comes to healthy eating changes, it's really helpful to track your food to be aware if there's any potential calorie creep. Remember, we said calorie creep is when gradually over time we start eating a little bit more day by day without even knowing it. Most people will experience that. So every so often, especially if you're struggling with weight loss, doing a bit of a tracking benchmark is helpful to see, is there some calorie creep happening? So you can do this in a variety of ways, whether that's writing down your food, using food tracker apps, or a picture diary, where we are able to check for the quantity and quality of food that you're having and get an idea of where are you at right now. So what are you really consuming day to day? I really want to encourage you not to say, I'm eating healthy, but I'm not seeing any results. So for many people, that I'm eating healthy can mean very, very different things. You might have one person who has a completely different definition of eating healthy than somebody else. So by tracking, we're able to actually see what are you actually consuming. And, I want to kind of bring in the research here that in one study of nearly 1,700 participants, those who kept daily food records lost twice as much weight as those who did not keep food records. Food tracking tells you the reality of what it is that you're eating. And when it comes to self-monitoring, most people are either unwilling to face the reality of what we're actually consuming on a daily basis, or they just have no idea what they're actually consuming every day. If we think about it, oh, what did I eat yesterday? What did I eat? We forget. I mean, obviously, with a few snacks here, and going through the day with this constant, as most of us have constant snacking, constant feeding. For most of it's very difficult to tell how much we're actually consuming on a day-to-day basis. So doing some tracking is a easy way to kind of recenter and be like, all right, where am I actually at? So some tips, if you're thinking about adding some self-monitoring, the Journal of Obesity found that self-monitoring only actually takes around 15 minutes or less per day, and that results in significant weight loss because when we track it, we're able to make those changes. And I really also want to emphasize that tracking doesn't have to be long-term. It's a tool that we can use on your weight loss journey. It's a tool that we can use to check for calorie creep, to check for your compliance, and check your macronutrient ratio. We're able to have you perhaps track for a few days. What are you eating right now? And then we can look at it. Okay, are there any changes that we want to make? Is there calorie creep happening here? So calorie tracking, or whether that's just recording what you're eating, I'm not saying do it for your whole life because that's not practical or realistic. But short term, it is a helpful tool that we can use to get an idea where we are at right now so that we can make some changes, start getting momentum, and then we can go back onto autopilot, making sure that we have that benchmark to go in there. And then if you need help with that, it's often really helpful to consult a coach with this because oftentimes we might be unsure that, okay, what am I doing here that maybe isn't the right fit for my body? And so having someone look at your calorie tracking or your food journals and actually give you some feedback, it's often really, really helpful to shed some additional perspective. And if you are going to be doing some tracking, try tracking immediately for accuracy, and you can use whatever measurement tool or tracking tool that you like. So sometimes some people would prefer to use hand portions to do their tracking. Others might want to use, measuring cups to get an idea of how much you're eating on a day-to-day basis right now. Some might want to use a scale. Just getting a benchmark of where you're at right now can provide some helpful insight. And I want to say right off the bat that I know that measuring things, numbers are not for everyone. Some people can find it very triggering. And so, I really want to encourage you to find what works for you. And if you're in a place where you are able to use some of these more number-based or measurement-based methods to get an idea of where you're at right now, oftentimes it can provide, again, that accuracy, that additional information. Personally, whenever I go through, any significant life changes, or if I notice that my weight is starting to go in a different direction, I'll just track for a few days and I'll get an idea. Okay, where am I at right now? Is there some calorie creep happening? What are my macronutrients happening, right? Like how are my carbohydrates, protein, and healthy fats? How is that breakdown looking like throughout the day? And that often has given me very, very unique insights. One time when I tracked, I realized, whoa, I didn't even realize that, I'm eating very little protein right now, and my carbohydrate percentage of what I'm eating every day has kind of crept up there. So then I'm able to make those finer adjustments. So having some ways of self-monitoring is one of the most helpful ways that you can get yourself out of a plateau if you're feeling that you're in one, because we can get an idea if there is that calorie creep happening that we might not realize, so we can get back on track. So hope that makes sense. And if anyone has any questions about self-monitoring, definitely let me know. Sarah is saying that, mashallah, you lost 8 kilograms since starting bootcamp, but you're kind of feeling that stuck now. Of course, we need to monitor food intake. Definitely go through that process of doing some self-monitoring. Listen, everyone's journey is going to be up and down. We're going to have those periods where we're going to lose weight, then we're going to have those periods where we're kind of stable a little bit, and that's fine. Go through, have a look, do some self-monitoring so we can get an idea if there's some calorie creep happening, and then we can kind of work on getting it down. So sometimes you feel like you don't have time to write or monitor, as of course being a busy mom with homeschooling kids, subhanAllah, definitely, firstly, closing up the time commitment that we're realizing is here, because I would ask to just really track for maybe 3 days to a week just to get an idea of where we're at right now. So it's not like I'm asking you to track for the rest of your life, which obviously is a time commitment. So during my weight loss journey and whenever I want to track, I use the app called Lose It. There's also MyFitnessPal. That's a great way to do a bit of tracking, a bit of self-monitoring in a way that's a lot easier than writing things down. So perhaps check out one of the apps. steps. For all of my bootcamp ladies, of course, I'm always happy to do a food review. We'll look at your food logs, look at how you're doing, and seeing if, you'd like to make any adjustments, and we can look at those food logs for sure. And again, I really want to emphasize that you do not have to be perfect, right? In order to see amazing results, you never need to be perfect. Precision Nutrition did a big study with tons and tons of people, and they looked at the results that clients who are less than 50% consistent would see, but who just stayed in the program for a full year, stayed in their weight loss efforts. And they found that even people who were up to and under 50% consistency still saw significant weight loss. They still saw, inches from their waist loss. They still saw progress on their weight loss goals. So it's not about being perfect, but it is about having that patience to be in there long term, which we will talk about a little bit more. Having that consistency long term is so, so critical. And so that allows you to have that flexibility. You don't need to be perfect, but we want to just make sure that we're moving towards this more of a long-term focus. And oftentimes a little bit more consistent is all you need to see better results. So here, this is in this same study where they looked at, okay, what about for those who are maybe 50 to 80% consistent? And you can see that we'll just see an increase in results. The more consistent you are, the better your results will be. But again, you don't have to be perfect. We're still seeing amazing results, even 50 to 80% consistency here. So let's get real with ourselves. How much are we actually complying with our daily exercise goals, with our daily healthy eating challenges? You don't have to be perfect, but tracking gives you that information so you can get an idea of where are you at right now truly, so we can see what changes, what small manageable changes that we want to make to see some better results, inshallah. So that's step number 2, check compliance. Accurately check for calorie creep and workout consistency. Track your workouts. Again, oftentimes I'll see ladies will say, I'm exercising, but I'm still not seeing movement. It's like, okay, how often are you actually exercising? In the last month, how many times have you actually exercised? And then, it's like, oh, let's look at the calendar. And then we see kind of, okay, maybe we can bump up that consistency a little bit. So tracking gives us accurate information. It's a tool that we can use short-term to provide that information. And number 3, stay patient. This is so, so critical. Weight loss takes time to see results. Me personally, on my weight loss journey, it took me over a year to lose 60 pounds. And, thinking about that rate of change, so many times ladies ask me, okay, but how long is it going to take me? How long will it take for me to lose this much weight? And the answer is nobody knows right now. We need to start the process so we can see your body's rate of change. The CDC says that under 0 to 2 pounds a week is a safe rate of weight loss. And keep in mind that slow weight loss is sustainable weight loss. We want to lose weight in a slow and manageable way so that you're picking up good habits along the way that we can keep up long term. So slow and steady is always going to win the race. And again, keep in mind, everyone loses weight at a very different rate, and each person will also lose weight differently at different places in their journey. So oftentimes when you start a fitness program or a weight loss protocol, you'll find quick results. You'll find that your body starts changing quite quickly. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I feel so much stronger. I'm feeling so much healthier. And then as the months go by, you might find that, okay, I'm starting to not see those same results month to month or week to week. And again, it's just a case that everyone has a different rate of change at different stages of their body. So that's of their journey. So that's a case where we have to trust the process. Exercising works. Exercising works for your body. Having an eating protocol works for your weight loss goals. So don't be so quick to assume that there's something wrong with the protocol. Often it's just a case that we gotta stay in it long term, especially when you've been doing this for a few months. We gotta just keep it up. Keep consistent with that process, and with that time, you're going to see that weight continue to come off. So staying patient is one of the best things that you can do. Again, keeping in mind that every weight loss journey has those natural ups and downs. And again, it's often, there's so many different factors that are affecting your weight loss that often we might not even be realizing, right? And we'll get into those a little bit later, where we're talking about all of the other factors that can influence your weight loss. Levels of stress, environmental factors, sleep, all of that can be impacting your weight loss without knowing it. So, it's just a case of staying consistent, staying patient with it as you go through and transition through phases in your life. You'll continue to see that good progress as long as you keep these good habits up. So I encourage you that if you see your progress stalling, don't jump into that panic mode. Don't say it's not working anymore. Majority of times it's just a case of staying patient with it. Keep going. And as you go through, you'll start to see that change again happening and that benefit still in your body. So stay patient, stay consistent. That's one of the best advice that I can give, especially to my ladies who have been seeing good results over the past few months, and then they kind of find, okay, it's what's going on right now. I'm kind of plateaued a little bit here. Oftentimes it's just a case of keep that patience with it. Let your body have time to change at the rate that is right for your body without rushing the process. So stay patient, and a few don'ts that I want you to watch out for. Don't get frustrated, and don't quit before you give your body time to show you those results, right? Give your body that time. Don't assume that you're the exception. I've heard ladies who say that, well, I tried exercise and it doesn't work for me. Or, I tried strength training and it doesn't work for me. Where exercise works, it's amazing for your body. So don't assume that it's just not working for you. Oftentimes we just gotta align these 4 steps we're talking about to start seeing those progress markers for you too. I also wanna discourage diet hopping or program starting. I see this a lot as well, that I know so many people, and myself as well, in my early stages of weight loss, I was totally this. I'd be like trying something for like a week and a half or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not seeing the results I want. Jump to a different thing. Try this. Oh my God, not working. Try something else. Oh my God, it's not working. And the thing is that prevents you from seeing momentum, because you're on this start, stop roller coaster. So I had to get myself off that start, stop roller coaster when I was working on my weight loss. And similarly, I hope that you too will jump off the start, stop roller coaster and work on gaining momentum in the protocol that you're picking. So get in there, aim to be consistent with the workouts, allow your body that time to see the change without panicking and jumping to the conclusion that things aren't working. Your body needs time. And so your job is to keep your consistency as high as you can and let your body do its thing. And also don't start chasing fad diet trends. If it sounds quick and easy with low personal effort required, it's not real. That's a fact. So many times, I'll see ladies who are starting to exercise and they get frustrated because the results aren't happening quick enough. And then they'll be like, hey, Amina, I heard of this new kind of pill. Do you think that might kind of help me? It's like, no, stay away from all of that fad stuff. Stay away from it. Stick with the exercise, stick with the healthy eating modifications, stick with what we're talking about so far, and avoid that fad stuff, because it's not going to have that payoff. This weight loss is hard. I know from my own weight loss journey, it's hard to stay consistent long term, but that's the only way to really see those results, when you're staying consistent with your exercise and your healthy eating and avoiding chasing those shiny fads and trends. So stay patient with it, inshallah. So that's the third step, giving yourself time. And then number 4, we want to make sure that your program is effective. Oftentimes, ineffective fitness programming can lead to ineffective results. So I really want to encourage everyone here to make sure that you're not choosing your coach only based on social media. We want to make sure that if you're picking a fitness coach, that they have qualifications, industry reputation, past client experiences, and testimonials. For me personally, as a health psychologist, we focus on program evaluation to make sure that programs are tested for effectiveness. So make sure that the programs and the workouts that you're doing are tested for effectiveness, and that they're going to be giving you a consistent, reliable weekly plan, so you're getting a full body workout and making sure that works for you. So that's super important as well. It's also really important to make sure that you're picking workouts and fitness programs that are evidence-based versus anecdotal. Especially online and on social media, where so much of fitness culture is sold based on the body tag, right? Like, look at me as a fitness instructor. I look like this, so therefore I must know how I'm doing, what I'm doing, and I must be a great fitness instructor. Again, oftentimes we don't want to go with anecdotal stuff. We want to look at what is the evidence actually showing is really showing us results of what gives people results. That's what we want to look at. We want to look at evidence-based instruction to give you weight loss results. So focus on that, and also making sure that the programs aligns with your beliefs. Health philosophies differ greatly. You definitely will see that there is a big difference between health philosophies that are more appearance-oriented or superficial-oriented or focus on more isolation versus ones that are more holistic, focusing on actually making you healthier. So make sure that your program focuses on the interconnectedness of health as well, making sure that it has those aspects of fitness, of mental health, of spiritual health, and nutrition. Make sure that all comes together, because those are all key components of your fitness journey as well. That's so critical, that making sure that that programming that you're working so hard on, that it's really designed for success. So those are kind of 4 steps. What are steps to know if it's working and you just need to keep going? Firstly, measure your progress properly. Use these measurements in addition to the scale to make sure that we see the total picture of your health. Number 2, check your compliance. Make sure that you're accurately tracking for calorie creep and workout consistency. That is the biggest thing that is mostly contributing to majority of people's feelings of plateauing. It's a lack of accurate tracking. So track it. Let's see what's actually happening so we can make those adjustments. Give yourself so much time and patience. Weight loss adjustments take a lot of time, and making sure that you're following an evidence-based program designed by a qualified instructor. So those are ways we want to make sure if these are in line, that's a good sign. Just keep going, keep working at it, give yourself that time and patience. That's what we want. So that is the first major discussion that I wanted to have when it comes to any questions about plateauing. All right, so we're understanding that for the majority of people who are experiencing a plateau, it's actually a case that we need to make sure these steps are in place and continue on. Give yourself that time and patience. So now that we have that out of the way, that's the baseline. What are strategies that we can use to get ourselves out of a plateau if we find ourselves in there? Strategies that if we really are doing all of this, okay, how can we get ourselves out of a plateau? How can we accelerate our results and kind of continue moving positively forward? So some important notes. Firstly, your healthy weight is a range. Everyone is different, and I want to encourage you not to get caught up in chasing a specific number on the scale. Again, a lot of people will come to me and be like, I have this number in my head, 120 pounds, or I have this number in the head, 110 pounds, 125 pounds, and it's like this number, and it's like, when I get there, I will be happy. But again, your healthy weight is a range. It's a range because that is a range that's good for your body, and everyone is different. So try and avoid, a goal weight, because I've never found it helpful. I think it provides more stress and provides, again, it just makes the scale the ultimate predictor of our happiness, and that's not how it should be. Your weight should ideally be within healthy ranges, just like other measurements, just like your waist to height ratio should be within healthy ranges to reduce your risk for disease. And really, really important study that I want to emphasize and share with you. Fitness is more important than weight loss. So this is a fantastic study that everybody in the world should know that was conducted this year in 2021. And they actually looked at how fitness affects your risk of all-cause mortality and cardiovascular disease based on your fitness and your weight. So here you can see the red bar on this graph. The red bar is for those who are fit, who are practicing fitness, versus the blue bar is those who are not in a fitness protocol. And subhanAllah, you can see that fitness reduces your all-cause risk of mortality regardless of your weight. This is so important for everyone to know. When you add fitness into your life, you are reducing your risk of all-cause mortality regardless of your weight. Whether you're normal weight, overweight, or obese, you're still going to see that amazing decrease in mortality risk. And that's so empowering, because we can stop focusing on what does the scale say. We can start focusing on our fitness behaviors every day. So helpful. So I want everyone to really stare at this graph and internalize it. Similarly, you'll see in the second graph, cardiovascular disease risk 2. We see that reduces dramatically regardless of your weight. So we'll see a reduction in your risk of cardiovascular disease regardless of your weight once you add fitness into the mix. So this really shows you that fitness is more important than weight loss. that focus. And in this same study, they looked at, focusing on obesity treatments, what is more effective? So on the left, you'll have what is the typical approach, which is a weight-centric approach, where you have, the typical diet program that you get sucked into weight loss and focusing on the scale, and it leads to the cycle of weight loss and weight gain, weight loss and weight gain, weight loss and weight gain, because we're always focused on the number. And oftentimes that can preclude us from actually reaching those health benefits because we're stuck in that cycle, yo-yo dieting. We don't see that progress because it's not empowering. We often get frustrated. We often quit. Versus on the right, you'll see here a weight neutral approach where we're focusing more on those measures that we talked about, on those healthy measures of increasing your physical fitness, improving how your body functions as well. Oftentimes when we focus on that, we're going to see those health benefits sooner, and your weight is going to get to where it needs to be. So I really, really encourage everyone to focus on what is your daily habits looking like, and let your weight loss take care of itself, because I promise you it will. If you are focusing on your daily behaviors, getting in your workouts, making sure your healthy eating is in check, your weight loss is going to happen. And so it's a lot more, like, we feel so much more empowered and in control when we focus on what we can control, that daily behavior, rather than what feels like, oh, I'm going to step on this scale and I don't know what's going to come up. Your weight fluctuates so much. At different times in your monthly cycle, you'll see changes in your weight. Even within a single day, your weight can fluctuate, plus minus 5 pounds. And so looking at daily behaviors and fitness and making that your behavior your primary objective, that's what I want you to focus on, because that will always have greater payoff in the end. Chase healthy habits, not a number on the scale. So really try not to get frustrated if you don't see your weight loss moving. Are you focused on the healthy habits? Are you nailing your daily workout? Are you making healthy changes? Are you tracking all those things that we talked about? If that's happening, your weight will work itself out in time, inshallah. Just give your body time. So making adjustments to your health can feel complicated and overwhelming. And so I know a lot of people are saying, okay, what are some specific concrete things that I can do today? Where do we want to start? You guys know, if you've been to any of my presentations, I love talking about the Afiya formula to help us kind of identify places where we want to make changes. Before we jump into that, I want to preface this discussion in saying that it is important for anyone to be aware that if you're ever experiencing any unexplained weight gain or unexplained weight loss or sudden difficulty in losing or maintaining your weight, that's when you should be speaking to a doctor, because maybe your doctor might want to do blood tests to see if there's any hormonal imbalances, thyroid issues, any medical conditions such as PCOS, which I have as well, which might be hindering your weight loss. So make sure that if you're really struggling and having trouble, especially if something's, I wasn't experiencing this before, speak to your doctor and make sure that everything is good to go there. That's most important, first of all. And then when we look at, okay, what are some practical changes that we can make so that we're making progress in these many different domains of our health, because your health there's so many aspects that influence your health. So I love to use the Afiya formula, which allows me to break down how I explain health and fitness changes to my clients. So your physical health can really be broken down into 3 main components: your fitness, your nutrition, and your rest. And each of these can be broken down further into 2 subcomponents. So for fitness, we're thinking about your daily levels of movement, right? So your level of sedentary behavior throughout the day, your steps, transitioning between sitting, standing, walking throughout the day, and also your fitness can be broken into actual time spent for exercise. Second, your nutrition. We want to break that down into what are you eating, the actual quality of foods, types of foods you're selecting, and also how you're eating, the mindfulness, the quantity of food, everything surrounding how you're eating on a day-to-day basis, and your rest. How are we sleeping? What's your stress levels? All of these are critical aspects of your health. So I'm going to give you some specific suggestions in each of these 6 areas that you can start implementing to start making healthier habits in your life. And again, stay consistent with these and you're going to see that payoff in terms of your health. So this allows you to focus on something really small, really specific that you want to jump into. So firstly, when it comes to movement, a lot of times when people talk about a plateau, oftentimes first they'll say, okay, well, what is your daily steps looking at every day? And oftentimes if you have, a very sedentary lifestyle, sedentary job, this is a way that we can quickly increase your basal metabolic rate, your day-to-day level of calories burned, just by aiming on increasing your daily steps a little bit. So here's an easy place to get started with this to help you give that little bump, start getting your progress moving again. Aim to gradually increase to close to 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. Most people start off at 3,000. So in that case, I would say just increase by 500 steps a day as you can. So we start incrementally increasing. And why does this work? To help bump you out of a weight loss plateau, because this bumps up your daily calorie burn, right? So in terms of how we burn calories on a daily basis, your total daily energy expenditure, your daily calories burned can be broken up into a few components. We have the calories that your body requires, and we also have calories that are being burned through volitional exercise, but we also have calories that are being burned through specific NEAT movement, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So by boosting your daily level of movement, stepping more throughout the day, you're allowing to boost up your daily level of calories, which just helps get that progress going when you need a little boost. So in terms of your movement requirements, in terms of 24-hour movement guidelines, try to limit sedentary time to 8 hours or less, with no more than 3 hours of screen time and of recreational. If you have work, that's a different story, but try and breaking up those long periods of sitting as often as possible. And the World Health Organization has the guidelines for sedentary behavior, which is that we should limit the amount of time that we're being sedentary, and again, try and replace sedentary time as much as you can with just some light, gentle movement. So really thinking about where we can swap out some sedentary time. So you're like, okay, I don't know, how can we do this? So aiming to increase your daily steps whenever possible by looking for opportunities for movement wherever you can. And they are hiding everywhere in your day. Take a phone call, while you're walking around your house, march in place while you're brushing your teeth, take the stairs more often, park farther than, the location when you're going there. Make it a priority, aim to get that level of movement higher, and you'll just see your daily level of calorie expenditure boosting up, which leads to a greater likelihood for weight loss. So that's important. Rubina asked, what if you have joint issues and you cannot physically walk? That is totally fine. You can do any type of movement that feels comfortable for you. So I have some ladies in my bootcamp who have some knee issues. So they have a stationary cycle, and they'll just use that a little bit throughout the day to get that, again, just boost up that calorie burn. So try and lift up the calorie burn a little bit. This is especially important for us today, where you have, again, that sedentary lifestyle, that sedentary behavior that most of us experience. Try increasing your daily steps so we can overcome that a little bit. So that's a quick thing we can do there. Second aspect, exercise. So we want to aim for 100 to 150 minutes of exercise per week, including aspects of cardio and strength, cardiovascular improvement and strength training. And we really want to make sure that we're progressing your movements. So most ladies, when I'll ask, okay, are you exercising? They'll be like, yeah, I exercise every so often. And so this is where we want to look at the components of fitness, right? We want to make sure that all of the primary components of fitness are there. So your cardiovascular capacity, your muscular capacity, and flexibility training. So a lot of times ladies will be like pounding it out on the treadmill or doing a lot of cardio exclusively, and they're not getting the benefits, the toning benefits of body weight strengthening training or of muscular development that can have a massive improvement on your daily metabolic rate. Muscle is beautiful in the body. It increases your metabolism. So someone earlier asked, is it the case that as you get older, your metabolism slows down? And often, yes, that is the case. But if you are increasing your muscle mass, we can increase your metabolic rate and avoid that effect that for many people experience of decreasing metabolism as they get older. So boost up your metabolic rate by boosting your muscle tone. So that's why fitness is so critical, and making sure it's a balanced fitness routine. It's not just cardio, making sure that it includes the muscular development, the body weight toning. So this is the perfect example of what I mentioned earlier, the importance of making sure your fitness routine that you're following is effective and planned for your success. So as an example from my Amana Bootcamp home workout program, every single week I include workouts that have the cardio, that has the muscle strengthening, upper body, lower body, and your core. You don't need weights for this, right? So in my Amana Bootcamp, all of my workouts are no weights, body weight only, and just 20 to 25 minutes a day. And you still get this amazing, incredible results because it's planned for success. Every week is a balanced routine, so you can just go in there and get your workout done while knowing that the plan is there. Your weekly plan is going to get your entire body, all of the primary components of fitness. That's why having an effective fitness routine makes such a difference. Any ladies who are here are like, oh, you know what? Okay, I've been exercising a little bit. Make sure that your fitness routine includes the toning, the strengthening aspect as well. So super, super critical. Balance in your fitness routine makes a huge difference. And also progression of your fitness routine. So oftentimes I'll see many ladies doing the same workout over and over for years and years and years, but your body gets stronger and then the same workouts that you used to do may no longer be giving you the same benefits. So it's important to have a concept of workout progression. So for example, how I coach this in my Amana Bootcamp is that every workout has modification levels. So you start off at the beginner level and you progress. So then you go to intermediate and advanced. You gradually increase through the levels as you get stronger. That's really, really important for you to continue to challenge your muscles and see that positive development. If you just stay at the beginner level and you never challenge yourself to get to that next level, you're going to see a bit of that stalling of your fitness progress. So that's why it's important to continue to aim to push yourself to get to that next level of difficulty. Ladies in my bootcamp, aim to get to that next benchmark, aim to progress to that next modification level. If you're always doing push-ups on your knees, aim to try one of them with maybe just one that you're working towards a little bit closer to maybe you're doing the push-up on the wall as as a intermediate stage progression, aiming to gradually build up your strength. If you're always doing your planks on your knees, trying it for just 2 to 5 seconds on your toes, seeing how different that feels. Pushing yourself out of your comfort zone makes a really, really big difference. So Anika, what if I'm already doing the advanced level? We can always advance it even further. We can always make the movements even more challenging as you're getting stronger. So if you're in my bootcamp, let me know and we can advance those movements even further and always make sure that we're challenging you to the next level. So always aiming to increase that, working on getting that progression in your body. And for those of you who would like to try one of my workouts, definitely go ahead and try one of my workouts, which you can find at amanahfitness.com/free. I would love to hear how you enjoy my workouts, inshallah. So when it comes to your exercise, aiming for that, making sure you're getting that 100 to 150 minutes of exercise per week, making sure that you're having the cardio and the strength included, and progress your movements so that we're working closer to getting to those advanced levels of modification. So then when we're talking about, okay, your nutrition, what is it that we're eating? I always love to make simple changes so that we can start seeing progress in your weight loss. So I always love to say, add first, subtract later. So when you're thinking about what are some changes you can make to start seeing progress on your weight loss journey, think about what healthy habits can you add in first? Can you add in before we're thinking about all the difficult stuff that, maybe should I be eating this, should I not? Add first. So what that means is that think about, can we add more veggies onto your plate? Can we add more protein into your meals? Add first. And eventually you're going to have the majority of your healthy eating be so wholesome and so nutritious that the small little exceptions are not going to make a big difference. Your health represents the majority of your decisions throughout the day, not those small exceptions. So add first, subtract later. Think about, okay, am I getting enough protein every day? Am I making sure that I'm getting greens throughout the day? So many times when I'll go through a rundown with my clients and I'll have them tell me what they're eating throughout the day, there's complete lack of veggies, especially in a South Asian diet. There's very little protein, very high levels of carbohydrates throughout the day. So that's where we can actually start dialing it in and looking at macronutrient adjustment, but starting off with adding in healthy things first, and then focusing on that adding in the healthy things first. I also want to make sure that you're following a protocol to create a new normal. So we want a long-term opportunity to introduce healthy nutritional changes in your diet and no crash diets. So many times ladies will be like, what do you think of this diet? What do you think of keto? What do you think of this? And look, all diets in some way work because it's introducing a type of control into what you're eating on a day-to-day basis. But is it sustainable long-term for you? That is why you are the only person who can answer what is the best diet for you, because we want to find something that feels like a great fit for you and your family, something that you can keep up long-term, something that feels like it's a natural fit that's not going to be a battle every day to follow. So making sure that you're thinking about something long-term that allows you to make these adjustments so that you can have that longevity in your weight loss journey. I do really also want to emphasize that we want to avoid crash dieting, which often comes in with often severe calorie cutting. Keep in mind that your body needs a certain base level of calories every day, your basal metabolic rate. So your body needs a certain amount of calories to function. So your calorie intake should not drop so low that your training suffers or your metabolism slows, which can result in a whole other slew of problems. So making sure, again, that when you're like, okay, I'm aiming to lose weight, that you're not making unrealistic goals for yourself and saying, okay, I'm going to drastically cut what I'm eating, because we all know you're not going to be keeping that up long term. So I would much rather slow and steady progress than the yo-yo cycle that so many of us find ourselves trapped in, that diet cycle. Remember, losing weight is a really gradual process. We want to be aiming for 0 to 2 pounds a week. And if there's weeks where you're not seeing any change in the scale, that's fine. Remember that patience and time is the most critical thing. Changes are happening in your body. We just need to allow ourselves that patience to see them. So, and then coming back to the Afiya formula in terms of how we're eating, we want to be, again, as we said, self-monitoring to detect calorie creep. And we want to implement portion control strategies. This is something where we're really seeing that so many ladies will say, okay, I'm eating super, super healthy, I'm making all these changes, not seeing results. Again, do the self-monitoring. Look at how much you're actually eating throughout the day and have some measure, some way of doing portion control. I often teach portion control with your hands so that you're able to visually compare, okay, a scoop, a serving of carbohydrate should look like a cupped palm of your hand. A serving of protein should look like the palm of your hand. And that just gives you these quick visual reminders. So if you're thinking about how am I eating, introduce this self-monitoring to detect that calorie creep that most people are not aware that's happening, and then implement some portion control strategies so we can get on top of that calorie creep and continue making progress, inshallah. And then in terms of the aspects of health that many of us ignore, but again, they play such a big role in our health and fitness. Many times, again, when we're experiencing these plateaus, we might not realize that other aspects of our health are being affected that we might be ignoring completely. So check in with your sleep if you feel like you're struggling with a plateau. How is your sleep? Do a sleep inventory. Are you meeting national sleep averages? And how tired do you feel every day? So obviously we don't have time to go into sleep thoroughly. We'll have to have a whole separate discussion for that, but take a screenshot of the National Sleep Foundation's sleep recommendation guidelines. It's a healthy benchmark for each age group. But only you can know if you are getting enough sleep for your body. And the best way to kind of look at that is to take a screenshot of the Epworth Sleepiness Scale. So this is a scale that was developed in a sleep medicine practice and has you complete this little questionnaire to assess your level of daytime sleepiness. So when you are just going through regular activities, how tired are you? If you have this chronic level of tiredness and fatigue, that indicates that you may be functioning at a sleep deficit. And again, sleep is one of those profound impacts on our health that many of us ignore completely. And we're like, why am I plateauing? What's going on? Well, maybe we need to look at your sleep. So do a sleep inventory, look at the sleepiness scale. How tired are you? Identify sleep disturbances, and if you can, cut them out, right? So if that's a case, that a bad habit of, which we all have and I'm working on too, of scrolling scrolling on the phone, scrolling on social media before going to sleep. Try and cut out those sleep disturbances and be aware of those consequences of having them. And if you're in a situation, whether that's an occupation, whether that's your job situation, family situation, just a busy mom with kids who are making sleep, obviously it's such a challenge for busy moms to get a good night's sleep during the night. If you can't fix your sleep for family or job situations, then be aware of the consequences of poor sleep and be prepared. So we know that poor sleep and lack of sleep is associated with increased likelihood to overeat and to make poor health decisions the next day. So we want to be aware of that. If we're someone who is struggling with our sleep, can we make better planning ahead for our healthy food choices that we know are coming up? Can we make little healthy snack boxes for ourselves so we have something healthy to go towards because we know that our sleep is suffering? So if you can't fix your sleep, make sure that you're aware of the consequences and you're prepared for those. And final aspect, when it comes to that final aspect of rest, we want to think about your stress. So again, this is an aspect that so many times we're ignoring about health when we're thinking about, okay, I'm struggling with a plateau. There's so many factors that could be contributing to that. Stress is one of them, right? So when it comes to stress, create a daily stress management plan, whether that's incorporating some movement as a form of stress relief, whether that is identifying support pillars in your family, your friend circle, identifying resources that you have access to help you better deal and manage your stress, or speak to a counselor if you need to. Oftentimes we don't take our stress levels seriously enough and don't realize that that also has a profound impact on our health. So these are the aspects of the Afiya formula that all contribute to what many people might experience as a plateau. So by going through and giving you some areas that we can work through in all of these domains, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed in this. I want you to pick one aspect, maybe an aspect that you feel that you're struggling the most in. Pick one, jump in, and try and implement it into your life to make those positive changes. Oftentimes when we're saying, okay, there's a plateau, what's going on? Let's dig deeper. Where is your particular challenge? We want to unearth that so we can start making those positive changes, inshallah. So the Afiya formula is the way that I always love breaking down complex health challenges with my clients so we can say, where do we want to focus on first? Let's pick something and go for it. So Lisa's asking, where do you choose where to start when you have so many areas to work on? Fantastic question. So I have two criteria to say, where do you want to start? The first is, where is your area of biggest challenge? I think we can all do a bit of real talk and check in with ourselves, and we all know where we're struggling most. So whether that's your daily movement, or whether you're nailing your exercise, but your daily food needs a little bit of a check-in, consider where you personally might need the greatest level of help and start there. Or if you're really having a hard time getting started, look for what is the easiest change that you can make. Look at this and say, what is the easiest thing that I can start changing? Maybe I can start adding a little bit more steps. Start there. So either start with what you need the most or start with what is the easiest to change. That is how we pick that criteria and start working on. You can also, if you're dealing with something like an injury, or if you're dealing with specific health conditions, you also need to structure that based on your own limitations. What are you able to do right now? Pick something, start there, and let's go for it. I gave you suggestions in all of these 6 areas for you to pick one and start it, inshallah. Hope that makes sense. To conclude this discussion, and then we'll jump into some Q&A, remember, my main takeaway that I want you to remember, if you remember one thing from this presentation, don't focus on the end outcome. Don't hyper-focus on the weight loss. Focus on your daily habits. Focus on your daily behaviors. Nail your daily workout. Make sure that you're aiming to get to that 50 to 80% compliance or higher with your fitness program, because that's what really, really makes that biggest difference. Remember, coming back to this important graph that I want you to remember and tell everybody about, fitness is effective and makes a massive change in your risk of mortality regardless of your weight level. You will also see the impacts of improved fitness in your life even before you see changes on the scale. So emphasize that fitness is more important. Fitness matters more. Fitness is more controllable. Fitness is something that we can really work towards that is so much more empowering than focusing on the weight alone. Focus on your daily habits, and I promise you your weight will work out to where it's meant to be when you give yourself that time and patience to let that change happen. So give yourself that time, start making some small manageable changes on those aspects of the Afiya formula. Pick an area and jump in and start making a positive change in that area, and give yourself that time, focus on your healthy habits, and inshallah, your weight will work out to where it's meant to be, inshallah. So for those of you who are here, obviously I know that most of the ladies joining me here are members of the Amanah Bootcamp. For those of you who have been hearing me share a little bit more about it throughout this presentation, today's session was actually going to be a private session with my bootcamp ladies, but because this is an area where I get so many questions about, I wanted to open it up for everyone. But I know that a lot of you might be thinking, okay, I'm ready to work out. If you would like to experience what my workouts are like, definitely I shared with you guys, check out one of my free workouts, and that's a great way to jump in and experience that. And if you're really, really keen and eager, for those of you who are here, the Amanah Bootcamp is currently closed for public registration, but for those of you ladies who are here with me, and if you'd like to check out and learn more about the bootcamp, I do have a special invite link for you that you can jump in, see what the bootcamp is all about, and see if you'd like to join our amazing supportive community, inshallah. Kalima is asking, what does the bootcamp program offer? So definitely you can check out all about the Amanah Bootcamp at this link, and you can see more details. So the Amanah Bootcamp is my personal home workout coaching program. My workouts are 20 to 25 minutes a day, no equipment, and for all fitness levels. So they're really designed to meet you wherever you're at right now and gradually build up your level of fitness. They include cardio workouts, strengthening workouts, functional fitness that's designed to make every single woman healthier for every single day. So I would love to share the bootcamp with you. Feel free to check out the link, inshallah, for more details about the Amanah Bootcamp. Obviously, we've had some amazing success stories as well. What I love most is that this is a community that it's always there to support you as you're continuing on your lifestyle and including those healthy lifestyle changes, inshallah. So jump in, check it out, see if you'd like to join us and see if you'd like to have that support on your weight loss journey. I would love to support you in that. All right, so check that out, inshallah. And remember, everyone here is welcome to try one of my bootcamp workouts. I would love to share that with you and hear how the workouts go. Oftentimes when we're thinking about, okay, where should I start? Where should I get started? I personally feel that having a reliable home workout program just makes the biggest difference. It made the biggest difference for me when I was starting my weight loss journey, something that I could do in the comfort of my own home and just know that every day I was making steps closer to my weight loss goals. That made such a big difference for me, and especially now where so many of us are aiming to include healthier habits at home, I would love to support you in that. So definitely check out one of my free workouts, and I would love to open it up for Q&A. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair for those of you who joined me live. For those of you who would like more information about the bootcamp or who are looking to add fitness in, definitely send me a message as we get started on making those changes, inshallah. So I hope that this was beneficial to all of you, inshallah. Kyla is saying, can diet and exercise help infertility from PCOS? So Kyla, I relate so much to your question because I also was diagnosed with PCOS, and many of the symptoms that are associated with PCOS are actually much helped, much improved by adding diet and exercise and seeing some healthy weight loss happen. So for me, many of my symptoms of PCOS, alhamdulillah, were completely changed once I was able to lose weight and once I was able to see that fitness and diet changes in my life. So for those ladies with PCOS, I know it can be very, very frustrating and we kind of feel like we're fighting a losing battle. However, I want to encourage you to not let this PCOS condition define you and know that you can absolutely still lose weight. Know that you can absolutely be the healthiest in your life by making those positive changes, inshallah. So absolutely. Lynn is saying, I kept falling off the bandwagon. I totally understand. It's very easy to get into that mindset of, okay, I'm sticking to it and I'm falling off. But again, I want to encourage you to remove that perfection focus. And remember, you don't need to be perfect. 50 to 80% compliance, we see amazing benefits from that too. So don't feel that you need to be all or nothing. If you're starting off with 2 to 3 workouts a week, that's amazing. Start there and aim to make that your minimum. And if you can do more, that's great. But don't let that perfect be the enemy of the amazing. All right, Kalima, mentioning, recently lost 30 pounds, mashallah. I am a pear-shaped woman and the weight around my outer thighs just won't budge. Okay, so we're asking questions about specific body parts. So this is a great question that comes up a lot. So when it comes to thinking about your body shape, first of all, everyone has a different body shape. And these are body shapes that are beautiful. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us in all different shapes and sizes. So what I want to aim for, again, is those daily healthy habits and getting you within healthy ranges so that your body is healthy and reducing risk of mortality and disease. And then we will find out your beautiful, ideal, healthy body shape, and everyone is going to be so different with that. So, pear-shaped is beautiful and all body shapes are beautiful. So make sure that, I just want to kind of, oftentimes we can get caught up into the fitness trends that tell us right now having a big glutes are in, right now having chiseled abs are in, right now a thin waist is in. And it's so frustrating because we can't treat our body like fast fashion that we change as fads change. So make sure that we're aiming for those healthy measures. Make sure we're focusing on our healthy habits, and your body will find out what is your beautiful body type. So that's super important. Specifically, of course, we can do specific toning work on your thighs to make your thighs stronger, but the mindset has to shift. I want you to work on toning your thighs because strong thighs make everything in life easier. Not because I don't like my body shape. You see the difference there? I want us to focus on, okay, strong thighs make life easier, make me feel stronger. That's why I'm working on toning my legs. So definitely thinking about that. And yes, of course, we can add that targeted toning, targeted strengthening. Do check out this workout, that I shared, the free workout, because there's a really strong leg focus in that workout that I think that you'll enjoy. So we can have workouts that are created and catered towards increasing the toning focus in different parts of your body. But I want that mindset shift. It's because it's functional, it's healthy, and it's great to have all aspects of your body be strong. And we're appreciating all different body shapes, inshallah. Fadana, again, another question about losing weight on your waist versus upper hips, but specifically for after you become a mother, mashallah. So again, I really want you to focus on the healthy habits and really practice a way of approaching the mirror so that you don't hyper-focus on the problem areas. Like, honestly, especially as women, we have this thing where we go up to the mirror and then as soon as we look, we literally don't even see our reflection. We just zoom in to the things that we think oh, I don't like this part of my body. But if you are focusing on your daily healthy habits, your body will get to where it needs to be. SubhanAllah, after the process of giving birth, what a miraculous occasion and occurrence. Of course, your body is going to be different and it's going to have changed. And so your body may not look to how it did before you were pregnant. And that's fine. You can still be in the best shape of your life. You can actually be stronger now than you ever were before you were pregnant. So I would really love to encourage you, focus on that. It's so much more empowering than specifically zoning in on things that you don't like about your body, and we all struggle with that, and it's kind of that daily practice. I appreciate all of you guys for joining me on this live webinar. Thank you for sharing this time, and again, I would love to share my workouts with you, share my Amanah Bootcamp with you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch. Thank you for joining. Take care. I hope that this inspires you to start making some daily, regular, small, healthy changes so we can move past plateaus, so we can move past that feeling of stuckness and start making some awesome progress in our weight loss, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.